All right. Hey, first I want to congratulate you guys for being in this room. Showing up today, everybody could have came to this, right, in a state, but you decided to show up today, and I promise you, this can change your life. All right, so we're going to talk about the scalability mindset. This is, I think, a hard thing for a lot of humans to wrap their head around because we live in a really scarce environment, right? So the first thing is you always got to start with abundance. Real estate might be the most scarcity mindset business there is out there. Everybody thinks they're your competition. Everybody's your frenemy. It sucks, you guys. I hated the way real estate felt before I came to EXP and before we were part of this team. So you always got to believe there's enough to go around, right? I believe there's way more business than I could ever do by myself, and we're nobody's competition, right? There's nobody in competition with us. We're doing our own thing, and if you approach the world that way, you don't put yourself in situations where you stop yourself from growing, because that's basically what happens. Every time you think, I'm gonna lose out, or somebody else is gonna win if I do this, you stop scaling. So start with abundance first. You gotta build for where you're going. This really applies to technology and systems, but a lot of times, agents won't do things that will help them scale because they just don't want to invest the time now. I use SkySlope templates as a perfect example. How many of you guys use SkySlope templates? Not that many. You're wasting your damn time, you guys. All you got to do is create a template one time and you never have to put 14 signatures in again when you send an offer out, right? It's a crazy thing, but you can save yourself literally tens of hours a year if you're sending a lot of offers out by doing a SkySlope template. And this applies to everything that you do. Your accounting system, your CRM, all of those things. Spend the time to build the system that you don't need today, because if you're gonna need it in the future, that's the only way you're gonna grow into it. So you gotta start building for where you're going and not where you're at. You gotta hire for what you need, not in 6 months, not now. This is another scarcity mindset thing, right? I don't want to spend the money on hiring or bringing somebody in or bringing a partner in because I don't want to give up that money. I don't necessarily need it. But you won't free up the time that you need to do the things that you need to grow if you stop yourself from doing that. It always is scary when you spend more money, and I've spent more money than most people have, I'll tell you about it. But every time I spent more money, I made more money the next year. So you have to get over that scarcity mindset, and you gotta hire for where you're going, not where you're at. And then you gotta duplicate yourself. This might be the hardest thing. I joke about this, but I love not being needed. I love coming to this and my phone not ringing for 4 hours and not having to answer an email. It means the systems that we've built are working, and I am not critical to the operation. If you are critical to your operation, if you are a single point of failure, your business is not healthy. So you gotta think about, how do I duplicate myself and remove myself from the business for, not forever, but a specified period of time, and the business continue to operate. So always think about that. What can you do to duplicate yourself? It's an ego thing, right? You wanna be important, you wanna be the most special person to your client, you wanna be the only person that can hold the open house like you do it. But if that's your mindset, you're never gonna grow and you're never gonna trust anybody else to do anything for you. So think about, how can I duplicate myself? All right, some lessons learned. So this is just a compilation of things, tips, tricks that we've learned along the way that hopefully can help you. The first one is employees versus partnerships. We've built our whole entire business off of partnerships. I have no employees. I don't pay anybody hourly. Nobody's on a fixed income. Nobody's on a salary. Everybody who is a leader or runs a piece of the organization is a partner in the business. They get a piece of the commissions when we close. And they're invested in the business long term, right? They're not there for a paycheck. They're there, the growth and success of the business, and it changes the dynamic. So when you're trying to hire the cheapest possible person to do something, that's what you're gonna get, and you're not gonna get somebody invested in growing your business. So think about partners versus employees. Value potential over experience. I learned this in the military. People are always looking for that established, experienced person, and those people are usually set in their ways. They're not necessarily the best person to be on your team. Look for potential, somebody who has the potential, who has the work ethic, who has the intelligence to learn what you need them to do, even if they don't already know it. And be conscious of that and just look for potential versus experience. Dedication to process versus outcome. Everybody wants to be on the Super Bowl winning team. Not a lot of people want to wake up at 5 a.m. and practice every day to win the Super Bowl. You got to look for the people who want to wake up at 5 a.m. every day and put the work in and put the practice in, and whatever happens, happens, but they're dedicated to the process of making the phone calls every day, putting the work, going into their CRM, doing the things that are going to create winners and not necessarily just winning. If you're coming just because you want to be part of the winning team, it's the wrong attitude, and you got to identify that very early in the process. Don't assume that you know what your superstars will look like. Most of the people who hold a key critical position on our team, if you asked me to stereotype them when I met them, if they'd be, any type of asset, I probably would have told you no, because I'm an idiot and I don't know what great superstars look like. So don't assume what your superstars are going to look like, and the critical people on your team are going to, don't profile them, right? Because it's easy to do that, and you got to look for potential, not experience, right? So don't assume that there's an avatar out there because people will surprise you. Trust people until they give you a reason not to. Real estate's a very untrustworthy business, right? Everybody's suspicious of everybody. Everybody doesn't believe anybody. If you guys have ever worked with me, you know I will trust you 100% until you give me a reason not to. The default position is always trust. And if you start from that place, it just builds a strong culture and a strong organization. When you start from a place of distrust, people smell that, they feel that. It never turns into a productive relationship. So think about that, be conscious about that. Leaders eat last. This is a military concept also, but when the chow comes and you're in the trenches fighting, the privates eat first, then the sergeants, then the lieutenants, then the captain, and the generals eat last, right? You gotta make sure the people in the trenches are getting fed, and a lot of times as a leader, it's easy to abuse the fact that you're the leader and you get more benefits than everybody else does, and it also contributes to a very unhealthy culture. So there's a great book by Simon Sinek called Leaders Eat Last. Highly recommend you read it. All right, don't let the 1% problem stop you from taking action with things that are a 99% benefit. I focus heavily on this today because agents love to focus on stuff. They go to the lender and say, can you do a construction loan in Lava Zone 1 on a yurt, right? That's a stupid ass question. Like, that's not what you're ever gonna do in business. Like, why are you looking for a lender that will do that, right? People focus on like the 1% little tiny thing that will never create any success in their business instead of the 99 stuff. Again, abundance versus scarcity, right? Holding on to every little thing, that crappy client that runs you ragged versus letting them go and focus on the 99% of your database will make you money. So if it's a 1% problem, don't spend any time on it. You gotta identify that quickly and just stop because it holds us back from growing. And then practice unconditional love. This goes back to trust, but there's not enough love in our business, you guys. The first time your TC screws up, you say, to hell with them, I'm never using them again, they're terrible, I hate that person, right? Even though 99% of the time they did an amazing job for you, right? And you cannot build a team like that. You cannot trust people on your team if the first time they screw up, you say, I will no longer work with you and you're kicked off my team. We just gotta have a little bit of unconditional love. We don't do this in our personal lives, right? We don't treat people like that in our personal lives. If your kids were treated that way, you wouldn't have any kids or you wouldn't have a spouse. So in business, just think about, like, am I practicing unconditional love here or am I being conditional and being judgmental? Because that's one of the things that really stops you from scaling and growing. So just have a little bit more love, you guys. Let's love each other a little bit more. All right, and speak your intentions out loud. I'm gonna talk about this in a second at the end. All right, what they don't tell you, that's all the positive stuff, right? This is the negative stuff that goes through your monkey mind that holds you back. The first one is, you will do, I promise you, I was just talking to somebody about this, way more work than you'll do less. People say, I wanna grow a business and I wanna have a team and I wanna do all this stuff because I wanna go to the beach every day. That ain't how it works. You just do different work and most of the time you do more than you did before. So if your desire is to work less, you're never gonna get there. So just understand that. You're gonna spend a ton of your own money to grow. Everybody thinks, I'm gonna be a team leader, I'm gonna grow a business, I'm gonna make all this money, I'm gonna buy a Ferrari, and everything's gonna be great. You know, my wife can tell you, I drove her nuts. I mean, there was years, 6 figures I would spend in investing in the business, building out new systems, bringing people on, giving commissions away so I could do more work on the business instead of in the business. And you will guaranteed spend money before you make money. And you cannot let that, again, scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. Every time you spend money and you invest, it's gonna pay off tenfold, but you gotta have the guts to spend the money first. You're gonna feel underappreciated or unappreciated. This is an ego thing, right? I'm doing all this work for all these people and they don't even care. And that's usually not the case, it's untrue. That's something that happens in our brains and we tell ourselves, but it's gonna hold you back from doing the things that you gotta do. So never mind who gets the credit or if you feel appreciated, nobody cares how you feel, right? Just keep putting in the work and it's gonna work out. You're gonna be constantly disappointed. I joke with the team every day. They disappoint the shit out of me every day. Every day I wish they would do more stuff. Every day I wish they would work harder. Every day I wish they would make more phone calls, right? But that doesn't make me stop. That doesn't make me not love them. It doesn't make me trying to keep push them and inspire them. So if you're not disappointed every day, you're probably not setting the example high enough, right? The speed of the pack is set by the speed of the leader, and not everybody's gonna keep up, but that's okay, because they're not you, right? If they were you, they wouldn't need you. So don't stop because you're disappointed. And then might be the hardest one. You're gonna face teammates, friends, family, all kinds of people who are not gonna share your vision, your big vision, and that'll stop you from growing. But it's okay, and it's okay to not have them as part of your vision anymore. You can still be friends, you can still love them, but this is the thing that really holds people back. Unfortunately, sometimes it's spouses, sometimes it's people very close to you say you shouldn't do that, why are you doing that? I'm blessed, my wife has never said that. Every crazy ass thing I've ever said, let's do this, she's like, okay, let's figure out a way. Surround yourself with those people, right? And remove the people from your life that are holding you back, because it's okay. You don't have to be around them.